Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back for Alliance War Season 29. This is War number 11. Poseidon is matched up against StaRa, and we basically did not have any fights in War number 10, so we didn't have a video. We were basically just support the entire way. We only had one fight, and it was a Cosmic Ghost Rider vs. Guillotine 2099 fight, and it was over in about 30 seconds, so I didn't bother recording it or uploading it. So we jumped to War number 11. We did actually end up winning War 10, so that was a nice win for us. Today, we have quite a few fights. We're going to bring in Human Torch, Moleman, and I'm deciding between Mr. Fantastic or Archangel. I was given Archangel as an assignment, as an option for a few of my fights, but all of my fights on my path are very easily countered by Human Torch and Moleman, so I didn't feel like I needed Archangel as an option. So as a result, I'm bringing Mr. Fantastic instead. Basically just because I wanted to apply some pre-fight debuffs to a few of my fights to make them a little easier. For example, the Tigra on path 6 here, that's where we're going in section 1, and we have it followed up by the Void. And then in section 2, we're going to take the Human Torch right there in the middle. And then we're going to go to path 1, where we have the Ebony Maw and Spider Gwen. And then we will finish off the war today with the White Magneto House of X fight on the mini-boss node up top. And that'll be it for us. So 6 fights today, 1 mini-boss, and the Human Torch in the middle, which is kind of a mini-boss, but that's what we have. It should be a pretty good war. We are still deathless on the season, and we only have 2 wars left to go, so I'm hoping to keep that streak going here today. And we're going to use a Mr. Fantastic pre-fight on this Tigra here, because if she gets a little stingy with her specials, the Furies could build up, and I wanted to apply the combat power rate debuff on her, which basically reduces her combat power rate by 25%, just because I didn't want to have to bait out too many specials. With Human Torch, this fight should be over very quickly, and I'm not going to use my Flame On ability here. I'm going to save it for Ebony Maw, but like I said, if she gets stingy with her specials, I may have to bait out the special 1 several times, because I really don't want her throwing the special 2, and if she's not throwing them, then those Furies could stack very quickly. So the goal is to get out of this fight very fast. It's the Strike Back Aggression Fury node, so I'm trying to avoid the Aggression Fury from stacking, and that's why I placed the Mr. Fantastic debuff here. You can see the regular boosts we have on. I think we're going to throw on an invulnerability boost, just to be safe here, just because her special attacks will be unblockable if she's at the correct distance. And again, I don't want her throwing the special 2. My guess is, if this fight goes well and she's aggressive, I should only need to bait 1, maybe 2 special 1s at most. But that should be it. And I enter my Nova Flame really fast here, which is perfect. Knocking her down refreshes that debuff. There's the first special 1. It was unblockable. Fortunately, I was able to evade it. But you can see the damage that we're dealing. At this point, we know this fight is over, and there we go. 25 hits, 26 hits, 30-second fight. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. That was pretty much exactly how I wanted it to go. It's always much appreciated with Human Torch when a Mystic opponent is aggressive, because that way you can continuously parry and get your temperature up and get your smolders, attack into them, and get into your Nova Flame really fast. So, like I said, pretty much a perfect fight, and that is going to carry us into our second fight of the war, which is against a 6-star rank 3 Void. He is on the Power Focus 1 and Bubble Shield node. We still have the same set of boosts active from our first fight, and we're going to use Moleman here. We're going to try not to get tagged against a Void. It would be the first time this season that I actually play a Void fight correctly. We really don't have any plans to enter the Frenzy. We shouldn't need to with this fight. Unfortunately, I do make a mistake and I enter my Frenzy right off the bat here because I missed a parry. And you can see we're doing a lot of damage now, which is great, but unfortunately that means the debuffs he applies to us are not going to be instantly purified, and he may deal some damage. We exit our Frenzy here, but we did so much damage in the Frenzy, it's really not going to matter. That's another 30-second fight with Moleman, and again, played perfectly. The execution, with the exception of that missed parry, was almost perfect. However, looking back on that fight, entering the Frenzy when I did is what allowed me to end the fight as quickly as I did. So even though it wasn't planned, it actually worked out very well. And to this point in the war, as we are getting into Section 2, I took a look at the current status. You can see that we have taken down 71 defenders. They've only taken down 40. We've died 6 times. They've only died 2. And I've been in this alliance for a while where I feel like I'm at a pretty good point where I can predict a win or a loss based on this level of progress. So my opinion of this war was that it was already a loss. We have a very difficult time coming back from behind when we are down this early. We typically don't tend to improve a whole lot, and our opponents typically don't tend to die more than they do at the beginning. So my thought was that we already lost this war. Just a hunch, just my prediction. And going into Section 2, we're going to take on this Human Torch here on the EMP modification node. And I'm going to take you through this a little bit slowly, just because there is a lot going on with this node. So EMP modification, that's basically going to give me a passive shock debuff to me whenever Human Torch activates a special for every buff that I've gained in this fight. Moleman is immune to shock, so EMP modification really shouldn't be a thing. Bubble Shield, after 10 hits, he will be unblockable on his 11th. And Burden of Might is going to mess with my power every time I have a buff expiring. So the power is going to be a little difficult to keep up just because whenever I dex or go unstoppable with Moleman, those buffs are going to expire and drain my power. And Aspect of Evolution will basically increase all of his numbers every time he fills a bar of power, so he gets more powerful as the fight goes on, the more power he gains. So we applied a Mr. Fantastic pre-fight here as well, just to reduce his combat power rate again, because I don't want him throwing a lot of specials in this fight. It's going to create a lot of issues for me. We're going to throw on the skill power boosts here, so our special attack damage will be boosted and we'll get power back based on the damage that the special attacks deal. So we're also going to throw on a Power Start 1 boost so we can have a better chance of reaching our special 2 without being power drained by the node. And right off the bat, we miss a parry, which is never a good start to a fight. So Bubble Shield is at 2 at the moment. I miss another parry there. Bubble Shield goes up to 3. Not panicked yet. We want to get into our Frenzy because the special 2 with Frenzy, with the power boosts, will do a ton of damage. So right here, we're in a good spot. Bubble Shield is still fairly low. He throws a special 1. He eats up the Bubble Shield. That also triggered EMP modification, but we took no damage from it because we are shock immune, which is fine. So now we are at 10 on the Bubble Shield. He's getting really passive. You saw that he was just sitting there when he could have struck me after I missed on my medium attack, but he continues to be passive. And right here, I try to dex his attack because once he attacks and I dexterity it and I gain that dexterity buff, that attack will count as the 11th hit, which will be unblockable. Now, even though I dexed the hit, I must have dexed it a little early because it didn't trigger the buff, which means he still will be unblockable on the next hit. And he's being a little difficult to predict here. And here he comes in with his unblockable attack. He connects on all of his hits. They all critical. He applies the incinerates. Fortunately, we weren't in Frenzy, so we purified them. And we enter our Frenzy right here. Fortunately, we get to 2 bars of power before we are power drained, which means we do some big damage, guaranteed crits here, but we are down in the health battle now. We're at 42%. He connects again and he criticals. That's just a missed parry on my part. He throws his special 2. We get a really clutch dexterity out of it. Our power gets drained right here. Fortunately, we do take him down. Whew. Man, my life flashed before my eyes there. We got very lucky to get out of that fight with all attack bonuses. It only took 21 hits, but that was a very scary fight. I did not play it very well. So it's going to end up being a costly mistake from a potions perspective because we have to use Moleman one more time. But we managed to get all 3 attack bonuses, and that's what matters. So we're going to keep going into Section 2 here, onto Path 1, where we have an Ebony Maw. Again, we are going to apply the suppression field to decrease his combat power rate just to make sure we can get through this fight a little faster. We're going to use Human Torch. This is where we're going to use our Flame On pre-fight here. And of course, Maw is a 6-star at rank 3. I think I forget to show the nodes here, but there's really nothing to note. As long as we take him down quickly, I think that's the biggest thing, because otherwise he will heal periodically through this fight if it doesn't go quickly enough. even if that happens, we're going to be applying Incinerates to him, and with our Despair Mastery, it should cancel any healing that he should attempt to get. And I wasn't worried about this fight at all. This should be pretty quick and straightforward. As long as Human Torch is Human Torch, Ebony Maw is going to melt down. And it doesn't really matter if we can parry him or not, because even if we don't parry him, he's just going to be building our smolders and our temperature. And the Nova Flames should be doing more damage as the fight goes on. So here we go. We throw on an invulnerability boost just again to be safe. We actually get a parry right off the bat, and I should have heavied there to knock him down, break his focus, and keep the debuff applied to him, so his combat power rate would be decreased. We go for an intercept right there, and we get it, and we're going to throw the special 1 here. That's going to knock him down, reapply that debuff, so his combat power rate will stay decreased. And yeah, after that special 1, the power sting damage that applied did so much, it's basically going to end this fight. We're going to throw one more special 1, and that's basically going to be it. Just another tap, and there he goes. Very simple fight. Was not worried about that one at all. We didn't even get any degen damage, and that was because his combat power rate was decreased, and he didn't get a chance to throw more than 1 special. So, again, I think I made the right call bringing in Mr. Fantastic. Those pre-fights, even though it's not a big deal, definitely do help. On to the Spider-Gwen. So this is our second to last fight of the war. This is the last fight on our path. We still have the Invul boost active. She's a 6-star rank 3 on the Buffet and Indomitable node. So we're going to use Moleman. We healed him up, and this, again, should be a pretty straightforward fight. We're not going to apply any pre-fights for Mr. Fantastic, so I wasn't worried. As long as we keep our True Strike active, or True Accuracy active, she won't evade us, and the Untouchables should never trigger, and the fight should be pretty straightforward after that. So I don't really plan on entering the Frenzy here, unless I do it by mistake. And I could care less which special she throws. I don't mind baiting the 1 or the 2. Every time I dex, like right here, she is going to regenerate some health. And because I am running Max Despair, the bleeds I'm applying are helping to decrease that healing. But she is still healing a bit every time I gain a buff. So that's just going to prolong this fight a little bit. As long as I don't dex too much and gain too many buffs, or as long as the bleeds don't fall off, it shouldn't be enough to save her in this fight. I should still be able to take her down pretty quick. She regened a ton after I came at her, though, and that definitely kind of scared me for a second there, because she jumped back up to like 80% health. But as you can see, we still have the True Accuracy buff. We're not entering the Frenzy. We're applying enough bleeds to minimize the healing. There's the regen again, but again, that time it really wasn't a lot. And I think one more special 2 will probably end this. So we get her to throw hers, and we're going to throw our special 2 right here. We're not in Frenzy, so again, no guaranteed crits, but we do get a few, and she's basically dead at this point. There she goes. The bleeds are going to do it, and pretty straightforward. That, again, was not a fight I was worried about, so I felt very confident with that performance. 60 hits, and she drops down. That's going to bring us to our last fight of the war, which is a Magneto House of X mini-boss. This mini-node is very simple, very straightforward. Just don't throw the same special attack twice in a row. And it's the Power Focus 1 and Enhanced Special 1 node, where his first hit will be unblockable. Misconception, Magneto House of X is not unblockable here with his Special 1. So we're just going to block his Special 1s. No point in trying to evade it. We're just going to take a little bit of chip damage. That's why we're going to throw on a Combat Regen boost to regain some of the chip damage we take when we do block the Special 1. But with Magneto dealing energy damage, this should be a pretty simple fight for Human Torch. It would be great to get into our Nova Flame, but ultimately we probably don't need to. The Incinerates that we deal should be dealing more than enough damage to take him down. And there's really nothing that makes this a difficult fight. Like I said, as long as you don't throw the same special twice in a row, you should be good to go. The Combat Regen boost is healing us up nicely. He's throwing special 1s, but like I said, not unblockable. And we actually got into our Nova Flame, which was fantastic. We're going to stay there. And now we're applying Power Stings along with the Nova Flame. So every time he throws a special, he's just going to be hurting himself more than us anyway. And we're going to keep our Nova Flame up right here. He hasn't thrown a special in a while, and the Power Stings are going to fall off, so we don't get the bonus damage from it. But as you can see, he's down to like 15%, and the Nova Flames are just going to finish this fight for us. So 50-second fight for a mini-boss, pretty good. And And again, another fight that I was not worried about whatsoever. Very simple, very straightforward mini boss node. Not a difficult defender there. So we get him down and we finish off our war deathless. Here is the BG3 comparison. So both sides cleared at this point. We died twice. They died 4 times to our defense. So BG3 wins our battle group again. Very solid performance from us. 2 deaths is pretty cool. 4 deaths by our defense is pretty solid. So I thought that was a really good sign for BG3 there, and for the Alliance as well, actually. If all battle groups could get like 4 defender kills, that would give us a pretty good shot to win in most scenarios, I think. And if battle groups can keep their deaths to 2, again, very solid performance, and will give us a very good chance to win every war that we're in. So this felt pretty good from a battle group perspective, and personally, that is 11 wars down, 1 war to go, and we are still deathless, and we had 6 fights this war, so it was a little more tested. Came close there with the Human Torch fight, but ultimately we do keep the streak alive, so hope to have that continue in our last war of the season. Unfortunately, the end result for the Alliance was not so positive as it was for our battle group or me. So here's what we have. We have a record of 6-5, which is pretty good. This war was fairly close. We did lose the fight duration tiebreaker should it have come to that, but the defender kills obviously made that point irrelevant. So we died 4 more times than they did. That's not going to be good enough. Again, double-digit deaths, probably not going to win you a lot of wars at this level. They managed to keep their deaths to 9, so credit to StaRa. Well played by them across the board. Single-digit deaths, that seems to be the formula for winning most wars at this level, or at least to make it competitive. So we were close. It wasn't a blowout, but still not where we needed to be. And now this puts us, I believe, back in Tier 2, and we are ranked 18th in Platinum 1 right now. So depending on a few things and how some other wars shake out, I'm not sure if the 12th war of the season is going to be very relevant for us. I think if we win, we may move up a few places in Platinum 1, maybe. But given the Tier 2 ranking, probably not. And if we lose our last war of the season, it's hard to predict what that'll mean. I don't think a loss would knock us out of Platinum 1. It seems unlikely. I think we obviously want to win it just to be safe. But yeah, I don't think a loss would take us down that many notches. So most likely a P1 finish, which is fine. That's where we've been for the last few seasons. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It was a longer one. We had a few more fights. All went pretty well. So drop a like if you did enjoy it. Subscribe, obviously, if you want to see more war content. We're going to have a nice crystal opening to feature here at the end of the season as well, after we get the rewards. So like I said, hope you enjoyed it, and we will catch you in the next one. See ya.